give you a little bit of a background, I was a single father. I had 4 kids. This is my daughter Rose here. I raised 4 kids. And I was living out in suburbia, and I was coaching Little League and Pop Warner and things like that. And I had a job that absolutely sucked. And I wanted to get out from under my mortgage and get away from the job. And
the kids, right?
So I had a girlfriend. I thought she would understand, and but this opportunity came up to take a job in Iraq, and it sounded like really cool to me. And so I announced to my family and my lady friend that I was going over there for a year, and I ended up going for the whole year. And then I came back after a year, and she wasn't that happy to see me when I came back. And this is October 9th, 2006, when I came back. This is the welcome I got. Mary Lou has announced, 1, our relationship is over completely, irrevocably. 2, that I'm incapable of telling the truth. 3, nothing I can do will repair the relationship. And 4, I should seek psychiatric help. And interesting enough, a friend of mine, he's in publishing, but he works for Playboy, Christy Hefner, and she had read this, like not as a business thing, but as a friend kind of thing, and she said it was the most honest book she ever read. But at any rate, I'm going to read some passages, and what happened was when I came back, my lady friend, the relationship was over. So what else could I do? I went back for another year, and by the time I came back the second year, I was pretty much out of my mind. And anytime somebody would slam a door, I would go like that. And people, if they had knapsacks, I would be looking at the knapsack, because over there people, they would blow up. You know, like you couldn't go to a thing like this where you didn't have to worry about the knapsack blowing up. So I'm just going to read some excerpts of some of the things that I saw while I was over there. And one second here. It says, this is 2nd of December, 2006. This is another wonderful day, helping my Iraqi brothers taste the sweet fruits of democracy. I learn a few Arabic words each day, and they laugh at the way I murder their language. They remember my name because it means something like beautiful daffodil in Arabic. Feminine, a comical name for a man. The truck full of Iraqis passed the other morning as I walked along the road. Hey Nerges, hey Nerges, hey Nerges, they laughed. After the last mortar attack, I asked our Iraqi workers if they were the ones mortaring our camp at night. They laughed, entertained by the suggestion, but didn't say no either. I guess you need a sense of humor here. December 9th, I sent this email to my brother. I can't shower without thinking about shrapnel tearing through the walls to rip my dick off, so I shower fast. Maybe I'll take a direct hit, and the last piece of my smoking carcass will tumble to the ground at somebody's feet. They'll stand there, bewildered, watching the steam rise from my intestines, pondering the terrific stink. When things are touchy, I sleep in my clothes. I can go from a deep sleep to a run in the blink of an eye. Some nights I fumble, other nights I'm blazing fast. I imagine my dying thoughts of Mary Lou. I can even hear her words. I knew it, I told him not to go there. He had a choice, the money or me, and the bastard picked the money. January 2nd. Now, this is just a little snapshot of Baghdad Airport. I scan everybody around me as I wait for my luggage. They all look suspicious. Then the lights go out. Suddenly only the glow of cigarette ashes are visible, brightening in the darkness as they puff away. I think of fireflies. The only other light is coming from the men's room. I walk in to take a leak. The light source is a flashlight on the sink counter pointing at the ceiling. An Iraqi standing against the wall. Against the wall when I walk in moves directly behind me while I'm peeing. What the hell does he want? I rinse my hands off. Without taking my eyes off of him, he reaches into his pocket, pulls out what's left of a roll of toilet paper. I expected a gun, so he's a towel attendant. I wave him away. He demands something in Arabic, probably money. I walk away and he follows a few steps, cursing me as I go. Page 54. Okay, so this is the transition from being over there. It's January 2nd, 2007, and I'm getting ready to go home. And that week, 5 of the workers at our base got killed that week. It says leaving Scania. Scania is a little bit south of Baghdad, and I had to go by convoy down to southern Iraq. And January 2nd, only one convoy to go. Recovery, which is a crew that goes out and picks up trucks and whatnot after they get ambushed, if they get blown up out on the road. There's like this combat tow trucks and whatnot. They go out with a squad of soldiers in tow trucks and they bring back the trucks. Only one convoy to go. Recovery brought in what was left of a pickup truck belonging to security contractors killed in ambush. They dropped it in a spot reserved for wrecks next to our living area. With the exception of the steel and cast iron, everything burned away. Glass, tires, dashboard, upholstery, all of it. The rusty metal looked as though it had been out in the weather for years. A blast from a shrapnel charge had hit the passenger side door. It didn't dent the metal the way shrapnel does. It burned through as though the armor was made of wax and somebody put a torch to it. The molten metal sprayed through the hole, setting the inside of the cab ablaze. Chatter has it the insurgents sprayed the truck down with machine gun fire after the blast. The 2 men inside and the gunner in the back were killed. Looking in from the passenger side, I saw pale white powder on the floor in front of what had been the seat, also below the springs. The steering wheel had burned away. I saw powder on the passenger side also with brush marks. It took a moment to register, then I realized someone had swept out the ashes of the men inside. I wondered if they were the men I had spoken to at Camp Cedar. The truck belonged to Armored Group Iraq, most of them Fiji Islanders. Fiji is a long way from Iraq. The image stuck in my head all the way out. My punishment for being nosy. That was my last image of Iraq. And then there was about 5 days, and then 2 days after I got home, I went to dinner with a woman I dated back in 1991. We were newly divorced at the time and parted within a year. She remarried, but the second marriage failed too. She heard from a mutual friend I was working in Iraq, and we began emailing. The hostess at the restaurant placed us next to the kitchen doors, the doors the servers use. They swung both ways. When they pushed out, I could feel a puff of air and a whooshing that reminded me vaguely of mortars, but enough to be distracting. I sat there scanning the knapsacks and briefcases under the tables and thought about not having to wonder anymore if they would detonate. I scanned the women too, their bare legs and cleavage. I thought about 2 college kids in Baghdad who were executed for wearing shorts. Freedom of dress is something that we take for granted. I should have known better. My date's marriage had been wrecked by infidelity, and I sat there staring at everyone. I jumped every time the doors opened, looking over my shoulder to see who was coming out. "Do you have to look at every woman who walks by?" she asked. "Don't you have any respect for me?" "I guess I'm not ready for this," I answered. This was really a bad idea. The intensity of her anger surprised me. The night was broken. I asked for the check and we left without finishing our food. And that was the end of that. So, not too long after that, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I rented a room in a house with a bunch of kids. And this is one of them here. And, before I left that house, I wrote 3 of these. I guess it was more or less to I guess cathartic, whatever you want to call it, a way of recovering. And we wrote a CD. Here's the CD. And Vic, how many places have you played these songs? How many countries?
All over the place, all over the world, man.
Yeah, so people in Israel ask him to play songs. And the songs are about the people who worked in Iraq, and it's not a political type of book. It's just what happens to these Pakistani guys who get blown up by mortars and stuff like that, and women who go over to Iraq to get away from abusive husbands. Like, they'll take a job with the army and they'll go over to a place like Iraq or Afghanistan, and somehow it's more peaceful for their life. And so anyway, we wrote a whole CD of songs about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pass it on to Vic here.
When